Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Limitless BWL. I feel like it's been so long since I sat down and just talked to you guys in a video, but a lot of you guys have been requesting for this video, so here I am making it. My intros will always be this awkward, but we're going to be talking about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. So here's the palette. As you can see, it is exactly like the Modern Renaissance palette in terms of the packaging. It has like a suede, same kind of font. Of course, the color is different. I'm not going to be doing a lot of comparisons in between the Modern Renaissance and this. I'll just share my opinion, but I'm not going to take it out and compare it and stuff just because there's so many videos doing that. I just really want to get straight to the point in terms of this palette. So as you guys can see, here is the inside. It is definitely a very fall kind of palette, I would say. It has lots of greens, yellows, and has burgundy, olives. It's definitely a beautiful palette with a variety of colors, which makes it really different compared to palettes that at least I've seen out right now. So saying that, I'm just gonna get straight into talking about my opinion on this palette. So far I had the chance to play with this palette 2 times, and I played with the majority of the palette. The first look I just did a picture with, I'll post it right here, and the second look is right here on my face right now. So I did do a tutorial for this, which I'll be showing in this video as well, but I just wanted to address kind of the points that have been negatives in terms of the palette, because I know that's what you guys care about and you want to see if it's the same for me, and I have to say that it is not. And I'll just go in order, but basically I know that the main thing is that there's a lot of kickback in the palette. I personally don't find that there's that much kickback compared to the Modern Renaissance palette. The Modern Renaissance palette, personally, when I first tried it, I felt like there was a lot of kickback, but it was never anything that really bothered me. But I feel like if anything, compared to my palette, this palette, the Modern Renaissance actually has a little bit more kickback. Another thing I wanted to address is the fact that a lot of people, when they showed reviews and stuff, they take the brush and they really swirl it around. I don't do that with my palettes. I never have, I never will, even if the color is not pigmented, like a shadow is not pigmented. For example, the Morphe palette, sometimes some shades are not pigmented. I don't go in and go like that. I just take a little bit and build it up as I have to go, and I feel like if you're doing that, the palette should be fine, and I don't think it's really an issue for me at all. So I'll just give you guys an example. We'll just use a blending brush. I can't find the ABH brush that came with this. I don't know where I put it, but I love those brushes, by the way. So for example, this shade has a little bit of fallout. That's how I pick up shadow. I don't go in and go like that. I'm not even gonna do that because it's gonna waste the product. I like the palette enough, and I spent money on it. I'm not gonna go into a product and really just dig into it. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I know this is a really controversial palette, and I might get hate in terms of talking highly of the palette, but you guys are going to be seeing me use it, and I'm really honest with you guys in terms of what works and what doesn't when you guys do see me use it. I'm just giving you kind of an overall heads up of how I feel about the palette. So in terms of the fallout, that's what I mean. It really does not, it's not a big deal to me. I'm not going to go into the palette and go like this because that's not how I use palettes. And another thing is, people are saying that, well, it shouldn't fall out like that regardless. And to be honest, all products work differently. You can't expect one full coverage foundation to work exactly the same as another full coverage foundation, for example, because that's just not how they work. Everything is made to work a certain way, and that's just how these shadows are made to work. And if it means you have to go a little bit light-handed, I don't think that's an issue. Just go a little bit more light-handed. And I feel I'm not saying that people are lying in terms of, oh my god, there's so much fallout and stuff like that. There could obviously be a few batches that were not great. I personally did not get one of those. I love my palette so much. I've played with at least half the palette, I would say. Yeah, more than half the palette. I've played with more than half the palette, and I've swatched all of them. I'll even put swatches right here from a picture I took, and so far I love it. I don't really have anything negative to say about it, except for the fact, you guys will see when I do my eyeshadow, this green color right here, which is supposed to be an olive, it does look more gray on my skin tone, but I noticed in a few other people's tutorials, it looks like that on theirs as well. So I have a feeling it's supposed to be like that, but either way, olive tones on my skin always turn out green. Sorry, they always turn out gray, so I don't necessarily think it's the palette's fault. But if you always want a color to be true to its color, especially for women of darker complexion such as myself, just use a lighter base and put it right on top, and the color is going to pop. That's just a tip for you guys. A lot of people always ask me. I think they're super duper pigmented. A little bit goes such a long way. When I say that, I really mean it. The only color that I even found a little bit fallout from out of like more than half the palette that I tried. So far I tried this color, this color, this color, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So more than half the palette. The only one that I found a little bit fallout on the face was this one. I even used the darker greens today. I didn't get any fallout. Even the golds, no fallout at all. They're dug up because I dug my finger into it. That's a different story. So I'm sorry that like it looked really dark when I had that up. But I don't know if I'm repeating myself. I feel like I addressed the main issues in terms of the palette. So yeah, I don't think there's much fallout. I feel like even if there is, it's really easy to just deal with it. Just tap it a little bit and use it. And it's totally fine to just build it up as you go instead of having to go all the way. It actually makes it a little bit easier for you as well. Also, when I was blending it out, I did not have a problem with the colors blending at all, even on top of a base, which I used to cut my crease. Didn't have any problem. Again, you guys will see all of that as I do the tutorial. I did kind of talk through it, so you guys can just go straight into watching that. Just did my face, my brows, like literally everything except my eyes. I primed my eyes as I always do with the Urban Decay primer potion, and then set it with the MAC Skin Fish. So before we start, here's another close-up of the palette. I will be going in with the greens and gold and I don't know what else, but so far that's what I have in mind. So again, here is the close-up. So I am gonna cry because I have the worst luck in the world, and as I was closing the palette, I just dug into it, into my favorite shade of the palette right there, like a chunk just came out. Honestly, I've been obsessed with this coppery gold. So I was kind of skeptical about like what I'm going to use as a transition shade because everything either seems too dark or too light for my skin tone. But this color right here, which is Roxy, actually looks quite nice as a transition shade on my skin tone. So we're just going to go ahead and apply that. I do have tape on my eyes, obviously, just because I want to do a half cut crease and it's just easier for me this way. So just applying that right above the crease. Not only did I get the eyeshadow, like I dug into the eyeshadow, like a huge chunk by the way. It like went all over my white couch seat, so yay for me. So as you guys can see, it's a beautiful transition and it's different. It's not like the other transitions, and I personally don't see any patchiness or like lines that other people see in their reviews. You can see looks really nice. And the color is true to itself even on my complexion, which is amazing. We're really buff it out just so it's like really blended out. So now that we did that, we're going to go ahead and start building up our crease. I'm going to go in with the shade Untamed. So let's see how that performs. Actually, let's try Destiny first just because it's an olive. This one is the one that I heard, as you can see, there's a little bit of kickback when I tap into the brush. But personally, I only go like this to pick up color. I'm not someone who goes like this. I don't find a need to go like that. I never did that with any of my shadows. So that's why I kind of think it's really controversial, just because like, I don't know how many people actually go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and use this brush, and it's just a blending brush. And even this color looks true to its color on my skin tone. Looks like an olive green, which I'm super happy about because I was really skeptical once I saw people's reviews. As I'm blending it out, the color definitely does change a little bit, but to be fair, these kind of colors on my skin tone always end up looking a little bit grayer than the true color, so I'm not really like mad at it. I'm really not. It's not something that I think is like them scamming you anyway. I'm not mad at that. That's normal for me. Yeah. I definitely can't use this unless it's on a white base just because of the color and being on my skin tone. I'm aware that this color was going to kind of be like that, so I'm not mad at it. As I said, if I do want the color to show, I'll just use it on a white base or a really light base. It's going to be fine. So since that color didn't show up much, we'll just go in with Untamed right here. Again, I literally just went like this and I coat the brush just like that. I don't find the need to go like all the way in. And we're gonna put it in the same spot. it definitely looks a little green. Again, it did turn out into a tad bit of a different color once I applied it, but it's nothing that serious. I can just dab right on top of it and then blend it out with the color. I feel like with these shadows, you just need to learn how to, like, figure out how to use it. Although yesterday when I did another look, it was super easy with Mercury and Electric and Roxy again. They all blended up perfectly. So I feel like it might just be the darker shades. But as you can see, this one still looks green. And there was that little bit of a slight line, but I just went ahead and filled it in, and I don't see a problem with that at all. So, and then I just built up the color just as I would with any other shadow. Just built up the color, and the color is still true to itself. Now I'm just going to go ahead and blend all that out with Roxy again. Yeah, it's blending out pretty well. There's a slight line, but I feel like if I work at it, it will be okay. So now that we did that, I am going to do kind of like a half cut crease. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the front of my lid. I like using a pomade from MAC. This is in the shade Lay Low. I wish they had one that's a tad bit lighter than darker complexions instead of just like really light ones, just so we can use them, but they don't. So I'm using this dirty brush that I use for my pomade, and we're just gonna go ahead and cut the crease. Okay, so there we have that. I actually did a little bit more just because I figured I might as well put more of the gold because the gold is so pretty. So I'm just gonna go ahead with a flat brush. When I swatched this, I was in love. It's so pretty. So we're just gonna go ahead, and there you go. You can see the color payoff for yourself. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shade. And I didn't wet the brush or anything, and as you can see, it's super pigmented, which I'm obsessed with. Now, as you can see, I went in a few times to pick up product, and that's what I usually do. I'll go in a few times. I don't mind doing that. I don't feel like I need to get all the product at once in order to apply it. I've never done that with shadows, and I'm not going to do that with this palette just because everyone seems to be swirling it around. So there you guys go. This is probably my favorite gold ever. So stunning. And now for the true test is to put the color right here and see how it blends, because I've seen a couple of reviews where it just doesn't blend properly on top of the cream. So let's see how it works. So going in with Untamed again, the green that we used earlier, and we're using the same brush as well. Again, 2 dabs is all you need. Just packing it on. So as you can see, I have absolutely no problem with the colors mixing going on top of the cream or anything. I know a lot of people said how it changes a different color. For me, it didn't at all. So that makes me super, super happy. And I'm just gonna dab it on. Just blending it lightly. So I actually really, really like it. I think it looks really good. I'm just gonna blend it up a little bit. So here you go. I have both the eyes done. I'm just going to take the tape off. They're not done. I'm going to do the bottom as well. But for the top, they look even. Both sides. I'll give you guys a close-up. In terms of symmetry, it may be off. That might be my fault. But as you can see, it blends really well. And I'm going to show you guys my palette as well. So I never like dusted off anything or anything. And by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't have any fallout. Yeah, I have absolutely zero fallout from any of the shades because I went light-handed, and sometimes you just have to do that, and that's fine. So I never dusted anything off the palette. This is all the fallout I have after doing the shadow. There's barely anything. If anything, I did get a little bit of fallout from like kickback from the shade, but it's fine. Like literally that's all that I got. You can see like a little bit in here. That's it. Like that's like nothing. That's nothing. So of course I'm just addressing the things that I heard were like complaints. And yeah, and by the way, these two like random lines are my fingers jabbing into it. It didn't like come off on its own. So let's go ahead and finish up the rest of the eye. Okay guys, so we're back up close just so you can see. The color still looks great, and yeah, So we're gonna go ahead and smoke at the bottom. I just put top liner and bottom liner on. I'll list the products down below, but I'm just gonna go ahead and smoke out the bottom with All Star. I just want to see how this color is gonna work because this is one of the colors that I didn't hear the greatest things about, but it's beautiful. I love burgundy, so I can't wait to try this one. How weird does this look that you can see up my nostril? But let's try it again. 2 dabs, no fallout, and we're gonna use a dense brush and just go right under. So as you can see, that's super duper pigmented. My lights may or may not be washing it out. Okay guys, so here we go. Here I have the finished look. I was going for a different look, but since I smoked it out with the burgundy, I just did a burgundy lip. But I'm going to come closer so you guys can take a look at the eyes. I feel like there was a little bit of fallout right here, which kind of made the color a little bit off right there, but whatever, it's fine. And I'm just wearing ColourPop LAX. And saying that, let's finish off the review. Okay guys, so that was the tutorial. I'm pretty sure I covered everything. Put a link to the palette in the description box for both the Anastasia site and Sephora site. Did you guys hear my throat? For both the Anastasia site and Sephora site, and you guys can take a look there in terms of how much it weighs, the price, and all that good stuff. So just to sum everything up, I think the palette is really good. My palette is perfectly fine. I did tell you guys there's a little bit of fallout, but again, just working around it is totally fine for me. So saying that, I addressed the kickback, price, everything will be down below. Pigmented, the palette is really pigmented, which I love. And I wanted to say one more thing. I was so surprised by how some of the colors actually look on my complexion. For darker complexion, certain colors are really hard to like show up without a lighter base, but even like this gray right here, where is it? This one, the Mercury, it's kind of like a gray. It looked perfectly fine on my skin without any base, so I'm really happy with that. I was kind of hesitant with purchasing this palette because I was like, I don't know how these colors are gonna look, but Anastasia's matte shadows are my absolute favorite shadows ever. I say it all the time. I don't think this palette performed differently in terms of the shadows at all. Of course, there's a little bit more kickback compared to single shadows, but yeah, I feel like I've repeated myself several times, but that is the end of this video. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I didn't mean to bash anyone when talking about the flaws in the palette. Those are just questions that a lot of people have been asking me about, so I just wanted to address that and get straight to the point because I know that's what you guys care about. And that's about it. So now I'm actually gonna go. So bye guys, have a good day.